Hello, third graders. My name is Miss Koza, and today I'll be teaching you about shapes. I know what you're thinking. You learned about shapes a while ago, right? Well, it's a bit harder now because now we have to learn how to classify the shapes you know into different categories. Our purpose for this lesson is to learn how to classify shapes, and we'll be following the Iowa Standard 3GA1, which states that we'll be able to understand that shapes in different categories may share attributes and that the shared attributes can define a larger category. We will also recognize rhombuses, rectangles, and squares as examples of quadrilaterals, and draw examples of quadrilaterals that do not belong to any of these subcategories. Further, our learning goal for this lesson is to understand the attributes of shapes, the categories of shapes, and understanding quadrilaterals. First, we need to recognize the word attribute. Look around you. Your friends, family, and classmates all have things that describe them. Those things are called attributes. Some examples of attributes are being tall, skinny, funny, or having long hair. Just like how we use attributes to describe people, we can use attributes to describe shapes, too. Let's look at an example of shapes and their attributes. What are some of the ways that we can identify these shapes right here? Well, to start off, for example, each of these shapes have 4 corners. Let's count them off. 1, 2, 3, 4. We can do another one just to be sure. Let's do this one. 1, 2, 3, 4. Another thing that these shapes have in common is that they have 4 sides. Let's count them off. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4. And we can do another one. How about this one right here? 1, 2, 3, 4. So, both of those descriptions having 4 sides and square corners are attributes. Now that we are familiar with how to identify attributes, we need to take a closer look at how to categorize shapes based on their descriptions. We can start by counting the sides. This shape right here has 1, 2, 3 sides. Whereas this shape right here has none. We can categorize the first shape then as a triangle. Let's make it a bit harder. Which of these shapes are quadrilaterals? Well, when you're looking for a quadrilateral, you need to keep an eye out for a few important things, such as having 4 sides and 4 corners. Yep, you guessed it. These are the 2 key attributes that make up a quadrilateral. Now, let's sort these shapes right here into 2 categories, those that are quadrilaterals and those that are not. First, let's count to see which of these shapes has 4 sides. I'm going to start with this shape right here. So, it has 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. So, I'm going to give it a little check. Next, I'm going to move on to this shape. This shape has 1, 2, 3 sides. So, I'm going to give it a little cross. Next, I'm going to move on to this shape. This shape has 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. So, I'm going to give it a check, just like the first one. And finally, this shape right here has none. So I'm going to give it a little bit of a cross, just to identify that it has or does not have the 4 sides that I'm looking for. Keeping the check and X's within the shapes, we are now going to look at which of these shapes has 4 corners. So I'm going to divide it right here because we know that these 2 shapes cannot be quadrilaterals because they do not have 4 sides. So let's start over here with this shape, and we're going to count the corners. 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's good. Next, let's move on to this shape. This shape has 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it's just as good. So now we see that these 2 shapes are classified under the category of quadrilaterals because they have the 2 key attributes, which are the 4 sides and 4 corners. Awesome work, you guys. Well, to recap, today we learned about 3 things: attributes, how to categorize shapes based on their descriptions, as well as a little bit of an understanding with quadrilaterals. I hope this helped.